Hello everyone and welcome to VLAN Tech Corner. In this video, let's take a look at the 12-port web-managed multi-gigabit switch from Zyxel, the XGS1250-12. The switch had 12 network ports. Port 1 to port A is Gigabit Ethernet, backward compatible with 10BT Ethernet and 100BTX Fast Ethernet. Port 9 to port 11 is Multi-Gigabit Ethernet, supporting 100, 1 gigabit, 2.5 gigabit, 5 gigabit and 10 gigabit Ethernet in RJ45 connection. Port 12 is an XFP Plus cage. It supports 1 gigabit and 10 gigabit Ethernet via the XFP Plus connector. Besides web-based management, the switch also supports static link aggregations, 802.1q VLAN, port-based VLAN, 802.1p QoS and port-based QoS. The list of features still goes on, such as the IGMP Snooping, loop detection and prevention, broadcast storm control and port metering. The switch is also plug and play. By default, all switch ports will have the same priority and are in the same VLAN ID number 1. If you enjoy using open source OS, I have a good news. The XGS1250-12 is supported by OpenWRT since February 2022. You can install OpenWRT on this device and explore the full potential of it. However, you may lose the warranty when installing a third-party firmware. Please consider and act at your own risk. Now, let's see what we have inside the box. The switch is packed inside an eco-friendly carton box. No fancy text or image. They just the Zyxel brand, the switch model, and the compliant information. We can see that the packaging is really good. There is another layer of protection added to the switch, also by the carton holder. After that, there is a quick start guide with basic information of how to connect the Ethernet cables and configure the switch. We also have the compliant information in different languages. Here are the rubber feet which will have the switch stand firmly on the surface. We will need to manually install it at the bottom of the switch. Inside this small carton box is the 12-volt 2-amp power adapter. It comes with US, EU and UK power plugs. Zyxel also included 2 screws and plugs for wall mounting. Now, let's remove the plastic bag and take a closer look at the switch. It is made of metals and is very solid. On this side, we have the power LED, the reset button, the network port, and the network link speed indicators LED. The color for each switch port group is different. From port 1 to port A, amber indicates 10 or 100 Mbps link speed, where green indicates gigabit link speed. From port 9 to port 11, amber indicates 100 Mbps, green indicates gigabit, sky blue indicates 2.5 gigabit, purple indicates 5 gigabit, and blues indicates 10 gigabit link speed. For port 12, green indicates gigabit and blue indicates 10 gigabit link speed. On the rear side, we have the DC power connector and the cooling fan. According to Zyxel, the fan will automatically start if the inside temperature is above 40 degrees Celsius. On the rear side of the switch, there is a UART 0 connector for debugging purpose. Now, let's connect the Ethernet cable and power to turn on the switch. My PC have two Ethernet connections, the 2.5 Gigabit RJ45 and the 10G SFP+, both connected to the switch. We can see that the network adapter are up and running with internet access. Let's connect to the web management interface of the XGS1250-12. And there are several ways to do that. The first way is to set a static IP address for the computer network adapter, which will be in the same subnet of the switch. The default IP address of the switch is 192.168.1.3. You can set a random address from 192.168.1.4 to .254 for the PC. The switch also have the HCP client service running, and it should request for an IP address from the upstream router. You can check the DHCP lists of the routers and find the IP address of the XGS1250-12. Besides, you can download the Zyxel One network application and find the switch from there. And here we are at the Zyxel Web Management UI. The default password is 1234. You will be asked to set up a new password on the first login. We are currently at the switch homepage or the system tab. Here we have all the basics information of the switch, such as the model, hostname, firmware version, and loop status. It is ready to have the loop status on the landing page. From this, we will know if there is something wrong with the cable wiring and can troubleshoot it right away. We also have network information of the switch. This will be useful if there are different subnets on the network. If the PC is directly connected to the switch, its IP address should be in the same subnet in order to access to the switch UI. The last section is the switch port status. The information is clear and straightforward. I like this simple UI, no picture nor blinking color, they just text. Here, we can see that port 10 is having 2.5 Gigabit link speed, and there is TX and RX, which means everything is fine. We can also clear the counters or refresh the page with the button. Let's move to the next tab, which is port. The name tells us everything. On the page, we can turn on and off broadcast storm control and loop prevention. Down below, we can change the setting for each switch port. We can enable or disable the port by clicking on the drop-down button below the state text and change the link speed, the connection types, and the flow control. If you are not familiar with those settings, my recommendation is to keep the setting at auto. The next tab is VLAN. This is crucial for a smart switch because VLAN is being implemented widely to enhance the network security, not only in a corporate network but also a home network. The XGS1250-12 supports two types of VLAN, which is PVID or Post VLAN ID and 802.1q VLAN. We can create up to 32 802.1q VLANs and set the switch port status accordingly. The switch uses the term non-member, tag address member, untagged address member, which is equivalent to none, tagged and untagged, as commonly seen in other smart switches and OpenWRT. In these videos, we won't go too deep into this section. One of the highlight features of the switch is link aggregation. With the XGS1250-12, we can have up to 4 LAG or link aggregation rules. The link aggregation algorithm can be based on MAC source address, MAC destination address, or both. The LAG switch port has been predefined and we can only turn it on or off. For example, LAG2 consists of switch port 5 and 6, while LAG4 consists of switch port 9, 10, and 11. In the mirroring tab, we can enable the mirroring functions as well as set the mirroring direction to ingress or egress. We can select one port at the monitor port and select several ports at the mirror port. This will be a great tool for network monitoring application. In the QoS tab, we can change the QoS algorithm to either port space QoS or A02.1p QoS. We can set the queue and the weight according to the application connected to the switch port. For example, if the port is used to handle voice traffic, it is recommended to set the A02.1p QoS priority to 5 or 6. You can take a look at this wiki page to find out more information. By default, IGMP Snooping is enabled. We can leave the IGMP static router port at O2 or specify the switch port which is connected to the upstream multicast routers or switch. Lastly, on the Management tab, we can reset the switch configuration, upgrade the firmware, or simply reboot it. We can also change the management password as well as configure the management VID. If the network is having multiple VLANs for guest network and internal network, we can set the management VID to internal VLAN to avoid unauthorized access to the management web page. Besides, we can turn on or off the DHCP client of the switch. If the DHCP is off, a static IP address must be configured. HTTPS access to the management page is enabled by default, and we can turn off HTTP access to enhance the security. Down below, there are some options to turn on the A02.3 AZEX EEE, Energy Efficient Ethernet, and backup or restore the switch configuration. If this is your first time powering on the switch, I would recommend checking the firmware and update it. I can see that the switch is having firmware V10ABWE.2C0, which is already updated, hence no upgrading is needed. Now let's take a look at the power consumption of the switch. In idle status with no active switch port, the power consumption is 7.9 Watt. After I connected a device to the 1 Gigabit Ethernet port, the power consumption fluctuates between 8.4 and 9.8 Watt. Continue to connect a PC with 2.5 Gigabit Ethernet port to the switch port number 9. The power consumption is fluctuating between 8.9 and 10.4 Watt. When port 9, 10, 11 is connected to the 2.5 Gigabit device, power consumption is at 10.1 Watt. Now, I will connect the DAC cable to port 12. The link speed is now 10 Gbps, but the power consumption only increased a little bit. Now, port 1 to 4 is having 1 Gbps link speed, port 9 to 11 is having 2.5 Gbps link speed, and port 12 is having 10 Gbps link speed. The power consumption is at 11.8 Watt. It remains the same when I run the open speed test and got around 2.4 Gbps throughput, which means power consumption doesn't increase when the throughput increases. Before ending the video, let's see what is the application of the switch. To me, it can be used in a home network or XME network. The multi-gigabit switch port supporting 2.5 10 Gigabit Ethernet port is ideal to connect high-performance devices, such as the Zyxel NWA210AX Wi-Fi 6 access point, or the Xiaomi AX6000 with a 2.5 Gigabit Ethernet port in order to enable the maximum throughput. The 10 Gigabit XFP Plus port will be a great choice to connect the switch to a network-attached storage device. With 10 Gbps throughput, all the devices connected to the Gigabit network ports can access the NAS at the same time without worrying about the speed throttle. However, in order to achieve it, the NAS itself should be able to handle this throughput first. That is too long for this video and I'm going to end it here. In the next videos, we will set up a simple network with 2.5 Gigabit router, the Zyxel XGS1250-12 multi-gigabit switch, and some other devices, such as a 10 Gigabit Ethernet NAS or PC. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.